Synthwave is dead. Yeah, I know. And I just reintroduced it last week, too. Damn. Welcome, Outrunners, City Cowboys and Girls, and everyone else. You are now on the edge with Johnny Voltaire. Synthwave is dead. Long live Synthwave. Famous words by the now famous music critic Iron Skullet. Some may even call him incendiary. I'm going to separate the message from the messenger first. So is Synthwave dead? When does an art form die? How do you decide a genre is just done? People aren't making anymore? When it's not being discussed? When the fans have left? Or do we take a more critical approach and say, it's when creativity is gone, when originality doesn't exist anymore, when everything is kind of dying out and used and stripped for mainstream. Now that's a topic for another time. But when is it really dead? You see, I think of a dead art form, I would think doo-wopping and harmonizing outside of a barber shop. You know, the guys with the striped jackets, and nobody does that anymore. No one talks about it. And I bet you didn't even remember it until I brought it up.
Okay, seriously, someone needs to bring that back. It kind of looks like fun.
It's very rare. It's pretty much a dead art form. So does Synthwave fit in that kind of criteria? Is it dead? No, obviously not. So why did this incite so many people? Why is everyone up in arms over this?
For those who actually did read the article, kudos to you guys. It's really about the lamentation that there's no more 80s vibe that's as strong as it was before, a specific sound of the 80s to be exact. Outrun and Retro Electro are two great names because they really describe what the music is doing and what it's for. But then the term synthwave came along, and it was kind of a catch-all phrase for all synthesized based music. This big movement, and I think along with some growing pains, and as this root began to grow and have a lot of branches, there were different styles, and people were like, well, now you're not synthwave, no, you're not true retro, you're not this, if you're not making 80s music, you're not following this criteria, you don't belong. And that's actually a terrible attitude, especially for new genres and artists in general who are creative. So even vaporwave had to change it up a bit, and that's not a shot.
See, sometimes you can go to, let's say, New Retrowave, which is, I believe, the most popular YouTube channel for listening to Synthwave. And you can check out the comments there. Sometimes there's a song which does not follow the beaten path, a normal formula for Outrun or Synthwave. And people will hear it and they'll say, that's not Synthwave, what is this doing here? And then there will be a song which is your prototypical Synthwave song. It ticks all the boxes. And someone will say, this sounds like everything else. There's nothing original here. You can't really have it both ways, can you?
Now, actually a big controversy in the article was Iron Skullet's claim that those who are doing outrun type of music today or retro electro or garbage and suck, except for the artist who were signed to the label he is an A&R for. That rubbed people the wrong way. When it comes to outrun and retro electro, there are some very strict boundaries to create it. There's a lot of established sound, but I've always kind of got the impression that was sort of the point. If you were going to recreate a certain moment, certain style from the 80s to get a certain kind of feel, well, then you kind of stuck to that script. You see, synthwave had to grow. There had to be new styles, different subgenres or spin-offs, or just artists with their own style. There's nothing wrong with that, and critics, I think, just had trouble wrapping their heads around, what do I call this, what do I call that, is this belonging in this box, while the artists continue to just break barriers and make new music. As much as we would like to listen to everyone, if artists did that, we probably wouldn't finish anything.
Basically, the fans say, give us the same old, but new, different. If you understand that conundrum, then you understand what it is to be an artist.
Synthwave will always have roots in the 80s. There's no disputing that. It's actually a beautiful thing. But trying so hard to just recreate one moment, one style of the 80s all the time, there's always going to be a need to grow as time passes. Even if we have roots somewhere, we still can go farther. Now, yes, some will stay with the old style, and that's fine, and some will want to take it somewhere else. All that's a great thing. It's a sign of good health for our genre. Who says you can't take the old and make it new? Especially since that's what synthwave has been about since the beginning. It's what we do.
Pick up that baton and head back to the future. I wasn't going to let an 80s reference go by. Now, as for Iron Skullet, a lot of accusations have come out regarding Payola, favoritism for his artists, trashing artists that aren't on the company that he A&Rs for. I don't know. I'm not investigating that, and honestly, I don't even care. When I've read Iron Skullet's reviews in the past, I don't agree with all of his reviews. I don't think things need to be called trash and the like. But I've learned a lot from some of his historical pieces, something about his knowledge of synth pop and early 80s music, which I missed because I was a kid, and I didn't know all the intricacies. And, he has a wealth of knowledge. But he also seems kind of angry, maybe bitter, and that's what music critics are, guys. I know he wrote that headline to get attention, to incite people to want to be interested in what he's saying. You see, critics are artists too. They just don't always know it. But things can be a performance, and honestly, we all took the bait. And some showed up with pitchforks at the gate, threatening violence. Like, chill, man, relax.
Imagine getting so upset over one man's opinion that it has you up in arms or questioning your worldviews, and it's not worth all of that. This isn't the age where everyone's getting blacklisted or shunned from the big boys and you can't make it now because one guy doesn't like you. It's not even about that.
And for those who had hot takes just based on the title of Synthwave is Dead, Long Live Synthwave, well, you kind of fell for it.
See, that's how you walk into a kerfuffle.
However, forget that. Back to critics, not necessarily Iron Skullet, critics in general. See, critics like to immerse themselves into their art form so much that they're kind of like junkies. They chase that first high. They never feel that way again. They listen to so much, or they absorb so much of the art that it's never the same. They get a little bit numb to it. And if you read the article, you'll see he actually says pretty much the same thing. That feeling, that vibe, that celebration of the 80s is not there anymore. It's not like it used to be. The thrill is gone. You see, music critics generally marry the art form that they're reviewing. When you get deep into a relationship with someone and you move in with them, there are times when their flaws become magnified to you. Just all of a sudden one day the sound of them brushing their teeth makes you go crazy. Or maybe the way they cook their eggs is just, Or maybe how they pick their nose during movies and chill when they think nobody is watching them. These things can get on your nerves, and you might even have harsh things to say, but this is your significant other. You feel like you can say that. You have the right to it. Music critics are very much the same. I see them as kind of the Mr. and Mrs. Roper relationship, where they're always quipping at each other, saying mean things, and they look miserable to you. You wonder, why are they still a couple? But that's just something that life brings. You get really comfortable with something, and you have to think about it, and every day it starts taking over your thoughts. You pick it apart. And does that sound familiar to any of you artists out there? Artists and critics will always be diametrically opposed. It's just the way it is. It's a precarious balance, and you just have to have thick skin. Whenever you hear something you don't like, use it to improve yourself or just disregard it. No need to want to swing fist over an opinion. Being an artist is hard work. And hearing criticism feels like you're not valid anymore. You shouldn't be making money. You shouldn't be doing this. I know. But it's a joy, and it does reward you should you stay at it. You take the good, take the bad, take them both, and there you have them. No. There's no joy without pain, no sunshine without rain. Alright, look, you guys get what I'm saying, right? everybody needs to chill. You know, there's a strong positive from this, and a lot of people came out and defended Synthwave. And I was like, no, it's not dead. Are you crazy? And jokes and all that. And not everyone was fuming mad. I get that. So that's good. We still have a heartbeat. We still have fight left in us. That's cool. Anyways, we're still here. We're going to be here. Everything's going to be all right. Now, I got to go, but I'm JohnnyVoltaire, and you've just been on the edge.
Stay tuned. See you on the other side. Love.
Guys, get your jackets. I just learned that barbershop quartets are back.